Thank you for watching this video. This is Jason Semiliano from Smarter Incorporated. Let's talk TIBCO. In today's TIBCO video tutorial, I will teach you how to iterate through a result set. And what that means is if suppose you query a database table and you have numerous records coming back to you, and you want to iterate through those records, and you might want to iterate because you want to write a certain field into a file, one record at a time. And that's what we're going to do in this tutorial. So I'm going to show you how to do that in TIBCO, how to iterate through a result set. So let's move right on into our TIBCO Designer tool. I've already created a process definition called Iterate, an empty process inside the groups folder. So follow along with me. The first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to query a database table. So let's add a JDBC query activity into our process. And from a previous tutorial, I already have a JDBC connection here. And if you have not watched my JDBC query tutorial, I encourage you to do that prior to proceeding with this tutorial. So I already have a JDBC connection here that connects to my local database, and I'm simply going to use that in my JDBC query activity. So I'm going to place a reference from the JDBC query to the JDBC connection, and I am going to write a little bit of SQL here to query an existing table that I have. The table is called add product. It's one of the tables that comes with gets put into your local database if you decide to create your TIBCO administrator domain using a database instead of a file. So I'm just using one of the existing tables here. I'm going to query the add product table. So I'm going to say select all from add product. Very simple. Okay, add product is right there, and I'm simply going to query that. I'm going to click apply. I'm going to fetch to get the result set. And that is my result set here, my design time result set. And what I'm going to do, I would like to take the values of this M home path field, and I'd like to write each one of them into a file. So how do we do that? So as you can see, I have the M home path field, database field right there, and I'd like to write that into a file. So first, let's go one step at a time. Let's run this guy and let's see what we get. So I'm going to go to the tester and I'm going to run it. Load. Okay. Okay, went on and queried that table, and as you can see, my output is a bunch of records. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 records corresponding to the 5 records that you see here. So I would like to write this into a file, and I better go faster here, otherwise this video is going to be too long and YouTube is going to reject it. So I'm going to write these into a file. I'm going to do a write file activity, and I'm going to write these into let's see here. What should we call this? We'll call this TIBCO product paths. How about that? I'll call it TIBCO product paths. TIBCO product paths .txt. Okay? Okay. In order to iterate through a result set, you have to use a group in TIBCO Designer. To group this, here's what you got to do. You put this in a group by clicking this create a group. And now I have the right file inside a group. And I'm going to turn this into an iterate group. And I'm going to give an index name variable I. And my variable list is going to be the record, which is a repeating. So whatever is repeating, I'm going to put there. And for my iteration element, I encourage you to look up what iteration element is. I don't have time to explain it, but it'll improve the performance of your iteration. So I'm going to call this guy product path. All right? And you'll notice when you go into the write file activity, you will now have a product path variable there, which represents the current value that is being reached by the iteration. So what I'm going to do in the text content, I am going to write the mhome path. And I'm going to do this. I'm going to concatenate. And I am simply going to add a white space here so that it'll go line by line. Write them one item per line. So I'm going to add a carriage return line feed here. Okay, so I basically concatenated the value of the current mhome path and a carriage return line feed, and then it's going to iterate one item at a time. However many records there are in the query is going to keep going. So basically you're doing a simple loop here. You're looping through the result set. All right. So now that we have that, I'm going to validate. And I actually have not tried this. I don't rehearse these tutorials, so if this errors out, pardon me. Okay. So let's go on. Let's start this and let's see what happens. It didn't error out. Wonderful. So let's look at the C drive and let's see what file we have there. On the C drive, we were looking for TIBCO product paths. Let's open this up and let's see what we get. Oh, I forgot something. There you go. It just shows you I don't rehearse these things. So go to your group, to your file, and we want to append, okay? Because every time you write the file, you don't want to overwrite. So click apply, and let's stop this guy and let's run it again. And now you see that, as you can see, it iterated through, and you see BE30 here is here twice because we had it there before, and then we appended the other 5 there. So hopefully this wasn't too messy for you. I just put this one together really quickly. I wanted to show you something. So basically, a JDBC query, a write file, and an iterate group. And then this is how you do iteration of result set in TIBCO. All right. Again, this is Jason Semeliano of Smarter Incorporated. I hope this has been helpful to you. I know a few people have asked for this, specifically this topic, to see how you do iterations in TIBCO.